Hey, what's up YouTube? I'm back with another video, and in today's video I'm going to be explaining my journey with my car. So let's get on with the video. So I had my car for the past 3 years now, and it has 105,000 kilometers on it, and I got this car back in 2021, so pretty much I've had it for 3 years. So I got this car when I was 16 years old back in high school, and ever since then I've been working on this car and enjoying it. So this all started back in 2021 where my dad bought the car for me. Back then it was $28,000 Canadian, and it was basically like as a gift, like basically I could say I was like pretty much blessed to have basically a 30K car at the age of 16, because when you look at it, most teenagers get a $3,000 to $10,000 car as their first car, and I honestly felt like I was blessed to have this as a first car. And when I got the car, I was into cars like for a very long time. I feel like as soon as I turned a teenager, I was basically born a car enthusiast at that time. So when I first got the car, I was obviously in high school, being a 16-year-old. Here, I'll throw up some shots of some pictures of the car when I first bought it. However, that did not stop me from still like pursuing my passion towards cars. Obviously, still being in high school, it was more so about balance, like about like being into cars and yet like studying at the same time. But however, school did not stop me. It may have stopped me in one case, because when I first got the car, I wasn't sure if I should make content about it. I wasn't sure about it, and I honestly kind of regret that. I feel like I should have started making content on it as soon as I got the car, because back in 2021, that's when the TikTok car community was peaked. That was like peak level of TikTok car community. And 2022, considering after 2022 the TikTok car community changed a bit. And the reason why I say this is because before 2023, JDM cars were the hype of the TikTok car community, such as Supras, R34 Skylines, Mazda RX-7s. All JDM cars were basically the hype of TikTok. But now, after 2023, things changed. It's now German cars that are the hype of TikTok, such as cars like the BMW M5 CS, the M5 Competition F90, the 992 GT3 RS. And I feel like if I started at that time, I would have grown at a much more higher pace than. But I still don't think that I started at a bad time. I still started at a pretty good time, and I'll explain why I started a little bit late making content on this car than starting earlier. So when I got the car, obviously like I was in high school, and I got this car pretty much like at the beginning of my last year of high school. Now, this isn't technically my first car. I have a whole different story that I can get into what was actually my first car. It was also something nice as well, but this is like my second car. So the thing is that as soon as I got this car, a month later, obviously I threw window tints on it, but after that, a month later, winter came, and knowing well that you can't really enjoy your car in the winter compared to how you can in the summer. Yeah, you can take it drifting in the winter, but at the same time, you can't there's no car meets in the winter, there's no car get-togethers, no events in the winter, and you can't even work on your car because my garage isn't heated. So therefore, if I did try to install anything on the car, it was kind of difficult. So most of the things that I wanted to install before the winter, I got it done with. But after that, when summer came, that's when I started taking it seriously. And what I mean by seriously is I basically over the winter learned how to improve my wrapping skills, because what I did was as soon as summer came, I smoked out my taillights and my headlights. Because when I got this car, I wanted it to be an all blacked out car. And the main reason behind that is two reasons. So ever since I was a kid, I loved blacked out cars because I was always into action movies and car movies. And the second thing is that when I would watch TikTok back in 2021 and in 2022, these rap people were really popular on TikTok who would promote wraps, window tints, paint protection, film, all of that. And I pretty much wanted an all blacked out car. So as time came, I did eventually reach my goal of blacking it all out, but I just didn't want it to just simply be all blacked out. I wanted to also add a little bit of contrast to it, such as adding carbon parts. So therefore, not only did I first have the gas cap wrap, this was the first place where I practiced how to wrap, and this was the first part of the car that I wrapped, but I also wrapped the C pillar trim and the B pillar trim as well, just to give it some carbon contrast. And later on with the ownership of this vehicle, I did install a tiny fake carbon lip spoiler, but it does look pretty good on the car. It does give the trunk some contrast. But however, when summer of 2022 came, I did start making like a little bit of content on TikTok. I would basically post videos in a way like how you post videos on your Snap and Instagram stories, such as like speeding videos, like just drifting, like these type of like videos that mostly people post on their Snap or Instagram story. But however, things changed when I went to the first season opener meet of 2022, which was also my first season opener meet with this car. And with that, I met a lot of like great people over there. And from there, I went on the path of creating content, because when I uploaded that video, I got good enough likes on it. I also met people over there that were like into creating content, and they kind of motivated me to do that. But however, things also changed when I first went to the driven show with this car, because that video that I uploaded on TikTok did really well. That was one of the reasons why I started growing. And that's when I became real serious about content, like that I should actually make car videos on TikTok and not just do this as a temporary hobby thing. And one of the reasons is that like it's a good general principle out there that when you start to see results, you basically get addicted to them, and you want to be able to continuously see the same results. But however, that's not just it. So after when I graduated high school, like this was all before like graduation. Of course, yes, I was like kind of in the balance between like school and my car's hobby and passion. But after graduation, things took a turn, a way different level, basically in a good level. So what happened was after graduation, when I basically take this car on its first road trip, basically it was like the first time I also ever went on a road trip with friends, and that was 2.5 hours away to Calgary. It was basically for the Calgary Stampede. That's what my friends wanted to attend. But at the same time, it was also another reason, because that exact same day there was a car show happening in Calgary, a car meet happening in Calgary. And I wanted to see what car scene is like in Calgary. So obviously it was a very exciting feeling to not only take this car on its first road trip, but me going on a road trip with me and my friends, because most road trips that I did at that young age was with family. So it was kind of an exciting feeling, like feeling like an adult that it's your first time going on a road trip with your friends. So when I went there, like they obviously were enjoying the Calgary Stampede, but I decided to also check out the car meet that was happening. And when I was at that car meet, I met some really great people, and I learned a lot about Calgary's car scene in that one day. That one day changed my entire perspective on the car scene, because here in Edmonton, it's not that we don't have any exotic cars over here. We definitely do have a lot of exotic cars over here. It depends on what type of car shows you go to. But what I realized there is that in Calgary, people have a lot of money. So even like aren't really even that rich, they technically are. So what I discovered is that a lot of people over there have really nice cars. And I'm not saying this just because it was my first time there at a car meet. I also discovered this eventually over time as I started going there more and more. And upon meeting those people, I basically started to take things real seriously. I realized that there's competition in the car community as well. And what I mean by competition, I mean that there is competition based on how good your car looks, how much mods you've done to it, how much power you push, all of these different things. Now, at first, I only had the perspective of the car community is all about like horsepower numbers, how fast your car is. But no, upon like meeting different people in life, I've realized that it's not just about that. That's what social media may make it seem like, but that is not how it is. There's other factors as well. It is about how much clean your build is, how much you've invested into your build, how like all these other factors. And eventually with ownership of this car, I got better and better at what I was doing. So when obviously I first bought the car, I knew how to wash it properly. I didn't take it to the car wash and use the brush because I knew that causes scratches, especially you do not want to be doing that on a brand new black car. That is the worst thing that you could do. So I would pretty much use a garden hose with 2 buckets and a wash mitt and a drying towel to wash the car. But however, after when summer of 2022 came, I bought my first pressure washer. And when I bought my pressure washer, I literally felt like that I am now like that my car gets the wash that it deserves. Like, it was just so satisfying that whenever I would throw soap on it and then when I would use the pressure washer to rinse it off, all of that just felt so satisfying and the end results was amazing. Like, I would just feel so happy that, wow, my car looks so clean after this wash. Then I also got better at working on my car, such as when it comes to dealing with wraps, PPF, or any type of part that you install on your car. I learned how to do that. Plus, I did take mechanics in high school, but mechanics doesn't teach you how to install like aftermarket modifications on your car. It only teaches you how to do the basic maintenance, which of course, yes, that's the first-hand knowledge that you need in order to work on your car, but still, experience teaches you more how to work on your car rather than not being afraid to do it because you're afraid to mess up. And I believe it's totally okay to make mistakes. Just don't make a serious mistake when working on your car. Just don't damage anything. Just make sure you watch a tutorial on YouTube before you attempt to do something big with your car. But other than that, making mistakes is totally acceptable. That's what teaches you how to be better. So therefore, you don't make the same mistake again in the future. So summer of 2022 comes and I'm making content on the car. I'm making TikToks. And at the same time, I also have friends in the car community that I can hang out with and we can go out for a cruise. But however, things change when October comes, when I basically turn 18, and that's when life gives me a difficult decision. And that decision is, should I get more into the partying scene or should I be more into the car scene? And that's also the time when I learned that balance is key. But eventually over time, I matured up and realized that being in the cars scene is way better than the party life, because the party life won't get you too far. But this eventually, if you're in the car scene, you will eventually build connections with high-end people, which will also lead you to be high-end as well. So 2023 comes and I discover some really big. I discover an exotic car dealership in my city. Now, some of y'all might be saying like, how's that big? But the reason why it is big is because that exotic car dealership would also host car shows. So I would go from like typical standard car meets that you'd see. Now, at typical standard car meets, yes, of course, I would see exotic cars, but less. With those, when they would host Cars and Coffee, their like car show would be full of those type of cars. And I personally felt like I don't even belong here with just a Toyota. So I would shoot videos of those cars. Obviously, that boosted my views and audience on TikTok. But however, I built connections with people over there, such as the people who work at the dealership and also the people who would be driving those nice cars. So for the year of 2023, not only did I do modifications to improve the looks of my car, because there were certain things that I wasn't happy about, such as chrome emblems. I needed to get that off. I didn't like the chrome emblems. Second thing was the windshield tint I needed to fix because I didn't like the 35% tint that I put on. It was too light, so I decided to go a little darker. But however, I went to more and more car shows in Calgary, and that's where I also discovered more things about the car community in Calgary. Y'all may remember when I was talking about how people in Calgary have more money, where it's very normal if you have a really nice car in Calgary. And yeah, that is the thing about Calgary. And even at car shows, it was very normal. Like even at small meets, you would see someone bring a really nice car, such as when I was at a meet. It wasn't too much of a big car meet, but however, some guy brought a previous gen GT3 RS. It wasn't a 992 GT3 RS, no, because back then the 992 GT3 RS had a massive markup on it. Like you literally would have to be on the waiting list. It still is to this day, but back then it was even worse because that was basically the release year of the 992 GT3 RS Plus. However, it was still like a pretty shocking deal that someone brought a older gen GT3 RS. But however, when winter comes, I was still able to enjoy my hobby because this year we probably had the weakest winter. It was only like 3 months of snow between January and like a little bit of March. Between mid-March, it melted. So we pretty much did not have winter this year. So I was still able to enjoy my car. However, this year when summer came, it was pretty much the same things, but instead I decided to take content this year more seriously because of many factors. I realized that I'm passionate at it, and I also met people that were in my surroundings that like were also into making content. So I was like, might as well be a little serious about it. Now this year, yes, I wasn't able to do too much work to the car. I did have a lot of plans basically this summer. Hopefully I can still get them done before winter comes, and that was to basically work on the interior. Because ever since owning this car, I mostly worked on the exterior. Now, I feel like the exterior is pretty complete, but however, the interior is still missing some things, despite I do have some upgrades to it. But the reason why I haven't been able to invest too much time into my car this year is because this year I've been taking work real seriously and making money real seriously, because I've also want to get a little nicer car in the future. I do have some plans. I want it to be a German car, and car prices are through the roof nowadays, even with used cars. So that's why I've been focusing on making more money so I can afford a more expensive car later on. However, I'll show you all the modifications that I have done to the interior. So the first thing that I have is LED lights. I did this when summer of 2022 came. So you can basically change the color on it. I have the remote set in the back, so you can choose 8 different colors. You can also go into the app and configure your own individual color. I personally really like this. It's a really good mod. It definitely adds some spice to the interior. I mostly keep it at red at nighttime, and that is because of the scientific factor of red makes your eyes adjust to darkness much faster. And plus, red is a little less distracting than other colors, considering how bright these lights are. And the second modification that I did is I got these back in summer of 2023. At first, when I got this car, obviously it was new and there was little to no aftermarket support for this, but I found these carbon pieces for my interior. They definitely do spice up the interior, but that's the second reason why I also got these, is because my interior comes with gloss black, piano black trim all over the place. And if any of y'all are familiar with that, y'all would know how much of a pain in the ass it is, because not only does it pick up fingerprints and get dirty fast, but it also scratches pretty easily. Because anytime I would use my detailing brush when I was cleaning the interior to clean off any dust or smudge off of it, it would leave tiny micro scratches on it. I don't know if y'all could see this. Yeah, the camera, it is picking it up very well. These are minor swirl marks on it. Now I am trying to find a carbon piece for this, so when I do find it, I will put a carbon piece on this, because this is also pretty scratched up and it doesn't look too good, and I feel like carbon fiber would add a little bit more contrast to the interior. But however, my plans with the interior are to first wrap this steering wheel in a nice leather or Alcantara cover, because my steering wheel is plastic, and if any of y'all are familiar with plastic steering wheels, y'all would know that these do not last. These basically do not age well, and there's 2 main factors behind that. One of them is exposure to UV rays and sunlight and heat, and they basically cause these to wear down. And the second reason is how well you take care of it. Now, mine is still in brand new condition, despite my car having over 100,000 kilometers on it, and that is because I take care of it. I clean it on a regular basis, and I also have tint to protect the interior from harmful UV damage. The second thing is I definitely do want to replace my headliner and my B-pillar trim to a black B-pillar trim and a black suede headliner with starlights in it as well. And the third one, I'm still thinking about if I should do it or not, and that is add ambient lighting on the doors and the dash. Now, I honestly am not sure if I should do or not, considering these floor lights are also pretty bright and they light up the interior pretty well at night. But in today's time, having ambient lighting in a car makes it luxury, which according to me, it doesn't. I feel like if there's too much LED lights in a car, it isn't luxury. I still am those type of people that even in 2024, I like having these type of dome lights, the halogen dome lights, because I grew up in the 2000s era. And in that era, having halogen bulbs was considered more luxury than having LED bulbs. Now, yes, I was told by many people to replace my ugly halogen dome lights to white LED bright bulbs, but the reason why I didn't do that is because when I did replace these with white bright LED bulbs, anytime if I had to turn on the interior dome lights at night, if I had to grab something or check something, it would actually blind me. Like, I'm not even gonna lie, it would blind me and I would not feel comfortable with them on. Now, some people say that, you don't keep these on all the time, but of course you don't. Like, it would distract you when you're driving with them on. But still, even if you had to turn them on for a short period of time, I personally did not like the look that these gave the interior. So I decided to swap them back with the old halogen bulbs. Now, yes, 3 years of ownership, I've had a lot of fun with this car. I built a lot of memories with this car. Would I sell it? Yeah, I would, if there was a really good replacement on the market. But however, right now, the market is kind of expensive, and I feel like that right now isn't the best time to find a replacement. While I have the car, do I, yes, of course, want to do more modifications to it? Yeah, because in my opinion, I feel like the car is still not complete. It still needs way more things. And the thing that I'm going to start focusing soon on is performance. I really feel like that I should do performance modifications and not care too much about it. Like, oh, will I run into these type of issues? Because I've learned one thing in car ownership and doing modifications to your car is that just do it. Don't think about it, just do it, because this kind of correlates back to when I had 35% tint. I obviously wanted to go with 20 at first, but I went with 35 on the windshield. And the reason behind that is because a lot of people told me that it isn't worth it to get 20% tint on the windshield. You're not going to be able to see on a dark road, which is somewhat true. But however, I thought, yeah, might as well like give 20% on the windshield a try. If it doesn't work out, I'll probably go back to light. So I did it and I actually really liked it. It actually gave the car a way better look because 35% was too light. It didn't give too much privacy on the interior. Versus 20, it basically gives it a full blacked out look. So same thing with performance. I'm going to give it a shot. If I do start running into problems, it's not a big deal. It is reversible. ECU tunes are reversible. You can delete them out of the ECU. Same thing with other performance modifications like exhaust, cold air intake, all these performance modifications. If they give your car too much issue, you can go back to stock. And plus, it's a Toyota after all. It's pretty reliable. I highly doubt that I will run into too much major issues. However, another thing that I want to do that I've been told a lot is to get rid of these steel stock wheels and replace them with a nice set of aftermarket wheels. And the thing that I also want to do is lower my car. Right now, like, this car does come pretty low from the factory, but right now I can fit about 4 fingers in between the gap. I definitely do want to get this thing lowered. And yeah, I definitely do want to get the calipers painted in yellow. I feel like that would make the car look really good. Now, the reason why I didn't lower this car sooner is because I wasn't sure how it would drive, how it would look. And plus, where I live, the roads aren't the best. There are a lot of potholes and the roads are just shit. I'm not even gonna lie. There's a lot of potholes and construction's happening all the time. So I didn't want to risk like scraping or breaking any parts underneath my car or my bumper. However, now I can say that I've kind of developed a little bit of OCD by looking at other people's sports cars. That, yeah, I feel like that mine's way too high, that it's kind of like a monster truck ride height, that it would definitely look way better when it's lower. So when I do find time and when I basically can, I will definitely try to get a new set of wheels for it and lower, hopefully soon. I'm definitely gonna do it by next summer. Because I can't have another year like the car looking like a monster truck, because I know this car would look so clean when it's lowered. Like, it would look absolutely amazing with a perfect fitment. However, anyways, that's all it for today's video. Subscribe for more car content.